Hi, this is Craig from Ultra Real. I thought it would be fun to kind of show what I'm working on for new assets for the asset store. The current one I'm working on is currently called Text3dControl. It'll probably be something different by the time I actually submit it to the asset store. Anyhow, I'd like to give a quick demo of kind of what it is, work in progress. So what we've got right now is Text3dControl is supposed to be a system that takes fonts, mesh fonts that were generated from, say, like TrueType fonts or made in Max and Maya or Photoshop, put them into a format that they can be used like a UI, and then add some nice animation features. Now these are meant to be used with like fully 3D fonts, not something like Text Mesh Pro where it's a 3D model that is made to look 2D. To be used as a traditional UI font. This is really meant for more like kind of VR, the fully 3D fonts. So let's take a look at what we've got. To start with, we need to have a font to work with, and there's several tools you can purchase that will do this. And obviously, the more elaborate ones are going to be like Photoshop and 3D Studio, but you can use a system that's on the asset store called Glyph3D, which is $20. And there's also another one called Flying Font, I believe, which also works with this. So with this asset, here I'll bring up its screen here. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see the whole window because the window's really huge. I don't know why he did it that way, but what you'll need to do with this is you need to create a build list of font letters, and I'll just speed through this here. In this tool, you have to decide what the thickness of the font's going to be, the smoothness. You can make that like there's smooth corners. It'll add more verts or whatever. Then you have to set up the materials. So the material for the front is going to be front. Material for the border is going to be border. Material for the back is going to be back. All right. And then later down on the bottom of the screen, which you can't see, you have to select a TrueType font. And I'm going to use the Metal Gear Solid one. I pulled that off of the font. And then I'm going to convert it, and I can move this window out of the way here. Now you can see the font that it generated. It's really, really big. It's really big. I think these things are about 15 meters high. The converter I have will actually shrink it down, normalize it to a 1 scale. I may not stick with that. I may make it like 5 meters higher or whatever, just because of the rect transforms tend to always come in really large. We'll run into that later here. All right, so what you do is you go to the root of this object, and we end up putting on the text controller, or I'm sorry, the child mesh to Text3D asset, and we're going to call this Metal Gear font. Okay, let's make sure I don't have another one in there like it. Yeah, I do. So I'm just going to delete it. All right. So we're going to call that Metal Gear font, and this particular property here just refers to the format for the names that this Glyph3D tool makes for the letters. We want to pull out just the letter from that name, and so that's how we use just a filter. And set the directory for where it's going to save. We're going to put it under here, fonts. I'll put it there, and then I do a convert. All right, so it's done converting it. It shrunk it down. We actually don't even need this anymore. We can just go delete. And then we need to make a new game object. This is going to be our text control. So we're going to go 3D text control. You can see the rect transform is gigantic. Our font's going to show up like a little tiny thing. We're going to make it center justified. That way it'll pop in the middle here. And then we need to set the font. So it's going to be our Metal Gear font. There's a weird bug that pops up, but I'll probably have to fix that eventually. So if I start typing in Metal Gear Solid, and you'll notice it's really, really tiny. Eventually I'm going to have to make it so that it doesn't come in, you know, super tiny. But you can take the rect transform and shrink it so that it matches the scale of the font. Oops, a little inverted there. And then just going to set these to 0, 0, 0, so it's kind of back where the camera is. I'm going to take the camera and reset him as well. And reset its rotation. So now we can see our 3D text. I think it would be more fun if maybe this font was a little thicker. Here, I'm going to go back to the conversion process. So there we go. I just went in and redid that first initial convert process and just made the font a little bit thicker. I just think it looks a little more fun when it's thick like that. All right, so this in itself is you know, could be kind of useful. The you can take in and make paragraphs. So a stealth action game, you know, so you can do text, you can have them, you know, justified however you want. You can justify it to the top, the bottom, right and left. You can also do wraps or overflows. You can put in, you know, you can put in return. So it works just like a text control. Pretty basic stuff. But the real advantage of this is the animation system. So we're going to go add a Text3D animator, and we're going to use just a basic animation on here. I don't have a lot of animations made yet, but you should be able to see the potential. So with the animation turned on play, we can hit the show, and you'll see the animation come flying in, flying out. There's also different types of animation order systems in here. So for example, I can go from right to left, top to bottom, which will actually here. So it's going left to right, top to bottom. So you can change that all around. I can have it go from left to right, bottom to top, which will make everything go in kind of backwards. I also have paragraphed versions, so it will do the entire line. You'd speed this up too, like it'll speed up the entire thing. Or you can make them, you know, make the whole animation a little slower. There's also different types of animations you can use. Like for example, this is a, oh, I can't do it at runtime. You can't change override controllers at runtime. All right, so here I'm using a controller that does scale, a scale animation. You can change the this one's kind of fun. It does a center radial out. Okay, and then so of course the opposite. It can come from the outside in. There we go. Yeah, that one's working. But yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Hopefully, my goal is to make it so you can have a lot of really elaborate animations for these fonts, and I also want to make a mechanism for managing the draw calls and stuff, because I think right now, this is just instantiating meshes. It could be a little overkill on the stats, but there's ways of managing that. But yeah, that's an update on this tool. Hope you enjoy it.